Good morning. My name is Kirk Dutton. I'm the Vice President of the local at Tamms Correctional Center. And we're all here today to put out something that the governor's put out. Yesterday, the Council 31 received a memo that was circulated through the department on the finalization of the closure agreement, or the closure announcements. We're still proceeding with the closure negotiations. Nothing has changed. The budget's not been signed. Nothing's been vetoed. We're still pushing forward, pushing as hard as we can to try to get everything funded and get everybody employed and keep these 3,000 jobs that the governor wants to take away that are irreplaceable in this area, to try to keep our families and our friends safe and the inmates safe and keep good jobs in Southern Illinois. Now, I don't know what is going on in the state today that we would want to devastate the Southern Illinois communities who depend on these jobs to support their families and their livelihood. But we need to send a strong message to the governor to stop all this and consider the ramifications of what he's doing. At this time, I'd like to introduce Representative Mike Bost.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to first off start out by saying the legislators that are up here, we've done our job. We worked with the governor and the governor's people to find revenues, to put the line items in place and fully fund those line items, these facilities, not just here in my district, not just in Brandon and Gary's district, but also the ones throughout the state that the governor is proposing to close. We did our job. We put it in the budget. Let me tell you that also that Dave Luchtefeld wanted to be here. He's dealing with some things up in the northern part of his district, which also has closures. Folks, the money is there. The governor just needs to sign the budget and say the legislature came through with what I asked for to make sure that these facilities stay open. We in our district are concerned about the employment and what is provided by these facilities. But let me explain some other issues that from a statewide standpoint they better wake up on. These correctional facilities that were created, Tamms in particular, they were created to not only protect our guards. For those who are concerned about the inmates, it was done to protect them too, because the assaults on inmates have gone down since the creation of that facility. It also was to break the communication from gang leaders to their people on the streets. So now they are going to say that their neighborhoods are going to get a lot worse because we're going to close these facilities. All this has been explained to the governor, but yet he keeps proceeding. Let me tell you that many of us felt that some votes that we took were with the agreement that these facilities would stay open. If the governor proceeds with this, he has gone back on his word. Folks, that's not the way we can get business done in the state of Illinois and keep things straightened out. It's time that he gets the bill signed. It's time that he walks away and quits scaring people who are employed here in Southern Illinois. Stop the stranglehold, let go, and let us do our jobs, which we're good at doing. When they first started creating these facilities in Southern Illinois, it was because they didn't want the criminals in that area. They wanted to be able to move them down. And we said we were willing to do that. Now, all of a sudden, they're not happy with that. Let me tell you that many Northern Illinois legislators joined with us to pass this budget in this way. We had to work. Folks, there was some jobs that were going on our side of the aisle and on the other side of the aisle that legislators here were working in the back rooms to tell them why it is that we had to have their support on these particular line items. They could not be taken out. We did our job. Why the governor continues to do this to you and to the people of Southern Illinois, I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. We are going to continue to fight until, even if he doesn't sign it, we're still going to continue to fight. I'm sick of it. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Even at the times that I argued across the other side of the aisle with Madigan on other issues, Mike Madigan even allowed and worked to put this and made sure this stayed in the budget. Folks, I don't know what else we have to do. We've marched, we've yelled, we've screamed. You have. You've come to Springfield. I don't know why it's falling on deaf ears. If we had the power, we would recall, but we don't have that in the state of Illinois. Let me tell you that the governor, it is in his court. I wish I could tell you something different than that, but it is in his court because he has certain constitutional powers. Folks, we got to send a clear message to him, and I hope today that this is one of those messages. Don't stop here. Keep going. I will work with you hand in hand. I'll work hand in hand with the other legislators as I have done. Folks, I wish by just screaming we could get it done. We'll work together. We'll continue to work together. One of the people that has continued to work with me and others there in Springfield, working his side of the aisle, and I'll introduce him now as Brandon Phelps.
Thanks, Mike. Mike's a good friend, and what he said a while ago about thanking us, I want to thank him and what he did on his side of the aisle, because he led the charge on the Republican side of the aisle and his leader, Tom Cross, to get this in the budget. Folks, we thought we had a deal, as Mike said. We knew it was going to be a tough fight to get this back in the budget. And the leadership of Mike Boss and all the downstate legislators and Senator Forby in the Senate that led the charge over there, we got it in the budget. Mike's absolutely right. And Quinn said a couple weeks ago, we're going to try to repurpose Tamms. We're going to do this. That's real money in the budget to keep all these places open. And then yesterday, without even a phone call, out of respect, you don't have to respect me. Respect my constituents in Southern Illinois. That's what you got to respect. But you sent a fax saying by August 31st you're going to close all these facilities. I don't know about you folks, but that's a coward. That's the cowardly way to do things. Now, I'm not going to get all emotional or anything, but folks, a deal is a deal. But Governor Quinn still has time to show us how much he does really care for Southern Illinois. Because, folks, the way I look at this is an all-out attack on working men and women, all-out attack on downstate and especially Southern Illinois. Alexander County, I got good friends here today from there. Look at all the things they've been through. You had the flood that wiped out a few towns, still have families that can't even move back to their homes. And then we have a governor that comes in and does the same thing, a natural disaster, wanting to shut down the biggest employer in a county that's the poorest in this state. Now you tell me that that's somebody that cares? That's absolutely no one that cares. And that's why I can't understand. I'm sorry?
Cares about gang chiefs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, some say that we don't matter in elections in Southern Illinois. But folks, when you get a lot of people running in Chicago in the primaries, we matter in Southern Illinois because our vote means that much more. And I guarantee you one thing, we're going to support people that support us. And right now, he is not supporting us. So, Governor, you say you're the jobs governor. Here's your chance to prove it. If you call yourself the jobs governor, show us in Southern Illinois that you do really mean that. Put those people back to work. Leave us alone. And what's that other saying he has? Let the will of the people be the law of the land, or something that he says every time he wraps up speeches. Well, the will of our people is to keep our places open and leave these working men and women where they need to be, and that's at their facilities and at their jobs. Not only that, this is a public safety issue. You saw what happened the last time he tried to do an early release program. Didn't go so well for him, did it? And that's what he's going to do here. He's going to get people killed, and it's going to be on his watch, and I would not want that if I was him. So he still has time to do the right thing. So I guess in closing, Governor, I'm looking at you. I hope you're looking at this in the news. Do the right thing. Leave these facilities alone. Go other way. There's other ways to cut. And I'll tell you one. This may not be a popular thing to do it right here. There's one thing we can cut to save about $50 to $90 million, and that's getting rid of CMS. That's what one thing we need to do, and we're going to look at that. And the guy's idea who that was is one of my dearest friends. I'll go to the grave with this guy. He means so much to me, means so much to Illinois. He literally took this budget by the hand and got this put in the Senate. It's my dear friend, your state senator, Gary Forby.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Mike. I'm not sure the governor's trying to find a seat in there with Blagojevich and Ryan. If he keeps on going, he might do this. When you let people out, they do something wrong, I think he's liable for it. He's the one that needs to go to jail. If anybody in jail comes back to jail, he's spent a few days in prison, he might change his mind. I just want to thank everybody for coming out here today. And Mike and Brandon told most of it. This governor does not care about Southern Illinois. The bottom line. He does not care about Southern Illinois. I don't even know why he comes past I-80 anymore. Because when he got elected, he said, I work for the bottom up. He don't understand from the bottom up. He just doesn't understand Chicago. You know, I'm not real sure. I've been hearing it for a long time, you know, so why don't we do away with Chicago? You know, I'm just about there. I'm about ready to just cut them off and push them right out in the water. I mean, put Pat Quinn right on the nose of the boat. Put him right on the nose of the boat, right, and push him right out in the water. You know, I thought we needed the money, but you know what? Every money we get down here comes down here and take it away from us. And way to balance the budget is, this guy could never run a business. That's for one thing. If he loses his job as governor, he'll never be a businessman because he doesn't know how to run a business. The state of Illinois has a budget problem. The way to cure the budget problem is putting people to work, not laying them off. That's no way. And you kind of cut everything. For 30 years, this budget's been going up on a graph for 30 years. You can't cut your way out of it in 1 year. There's no way you can cut your way out in 1 year. All he's doing is cutting everybody's legs off. So he don't have a clue how to keep people to working. We put people to work, they pay taxes. They pay for schools. They pay for health care. That's the bottom line we have to do. And that's what Chicago and Pat Quinn needs to understand. They need to come down here. We could give them a lesson. Every one of us down here, all of us, we've worked hard. We haven't had nothing gave to us. Just give us our fair share. That's all we want. You know, the prisons, like Mike said, back in the 30 years ago, I was on the county board. People up north didn't want them. They came down here and said, you guys want them? Yes, we want them. Now then, they're getting a budget problem. They want to take them back. We done everything in the world as Tamms. You know, we had a group of people in Chicago, they was against Tamms. Said we mistreat them people down there. Them people mistreated themselves and everybody else who they mistreated. So they don't want a superback. So in the Senate, I went to John Cullen and talked to him. I said, John, if they don't want a superback, let's change it to a regular prison. Let's take the superbacks off of it and redo it. So John liked it. He said, we'll do that in our budget. We put it in the budget to change names on Tamms, to keep it open. We put another $8 million in the budget to redo it so we can have the overflow. People said, what are you going to do to the people in Tamms? As far as I'm concerned, you can take them to Chicago and turn them loose. Just to get them out of my district. I don't care what they do with it. Put them in some legislators' houses up there. Pat Quinn, put it in the mansion. Maybe they can use it up there. Do something with it anyway. But anyway, this fight's not over. We're going to stay together. We're going to win. He might think he's doing something, but if we stick together, what union people do, they stick together, they fight. That's Southern Illinois, and each and every one I see, almost everybody union. I'm proud the unions are out here today. Won't you, everybody union, give yourself a great hand. If it wasn't for the unions, we'd all be working for $7 an hour or $5 an hour. The union's done a great job, and they're going to do a great job, and we're going to stick together. We're going to get everybody here. And whatever Pat Quinn does, we're going to override him. We're going to fight him. We're going to do it. We're going to get this, keep these places open. Let's stick together, and whatever we can do as legislators, Republicans, and Democrats, we're going to do it. Thank you for having us out here today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Foreman. I am the president of Local 2335 at IYC Murphysboro, and I represent the employees that work there, also with the Southern Illinois Adult Transition Center and the Marion Parole Office. And as you all probably know, all three of these areas are being affected by the governor's plan. I'd kind of like just to remind everybody today about some of the economic impacts that the region is going to suffer, you know, if this pushes forward. Okay, Tamms, IYC Murphysboro, and the ATC in Carbondale close. Southern Illinois has already taken a big hit in job displacements over the past several years with the closure of Maytag and Heron, where hundreds of jobs were lost, Oil Dry, Lafarge, EEI, where 40 jobs and 44 jobs were lost, just to name a few. Governor Quinn claims to be a jobs governor, but he seems to have forgotten that the Southern Illinois is part of this state as well as Chicago. Just recently he has enacted a $1 per pack increase to offset some of the state's budget problems. Union members a couple of years ago agreed to wage deferments, and we also offered suggestions for savings to the state in the tune of millions of dollars that the state did use to offset some of the economic impacts that the state is facing right now. And still, this governor is threatening not only the livelihoods of the employees of these facilities, but the entire region as a whole. Southern Illinois is even more financially strapped than other regions of the state. The governor offers tax incentives to big businesses like the Chicago Mercantile, Sears, just to name a few, to the tune of approximately $300 million. Southern Illinois cannot bear the burdens of so many job losses. The impact studies that have been done far outweigh any of the savings that the state can achieve by these closures. Okay. The governor needs to sign the check that was given to him by the legislators and the General Assembly that will keep these facilities open, keep people employed, and not disrupt the economic functioning of this region of the state. He is the governor of the entire state of Illinois, not just north of I-80 in Chicago, and he is not, and he must do the right thing for all of us. Okay, I'd like to personally thank all the legislators that showed up today to talk and give us their insight as to the governor's plan. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Toby Oliver from the Tamms Correctional Center.
Thank you. Sister in the back with the sign, I like it very much. It says, Sheila, what would my father do? Very good point, very good point. Governor Quinn signed into law 9 days ago a bill that he said targets gang leaders and stated, we have to make this our mission to go after these thugs, mobsters, and gangsters and use every fiber of our being and every ounce of the law to carry out this mission. This is one of the missions that Tamms Correctional Center is doing and has done for the past 15 years. Gang violence and assaults are on the rise in the Department of Corrections, just as it is in the Chicago area. The Cook County State's Attorney Office has spoken out in favor of the legislation and said it will help go after high-ranking gang members. What will happen when these high-ranking gang members reach the Department of Corrections? And Tamms, a tool we have used to contain these high-ranking gang members, is no longer used. This scenario is already being played out in our facilities now, with the increase in weapons and lockdown days in several facilities across our state. There are inmates being placed in the lower level security prisons when they don't meet the criteria set by the department to be housed at those facilities, putting the public and our staff at risk for housing high-risk inmates in lower security settings. The bottom line is Tamms was built 15 years ago under the same theory as today's legislation that was signed by Governor Quinn, and that is to safely house the most troublesome, violent inmates safely and reduce gang violence and gang activity, which it has done. Governor Quinn stated, "Street gang leaders, we're after you," as he signed the legislation at the Thompson Center at a time when Tamms is letting all of our high-ranking gang members out of the other facilities. Our next speaker is from the Southern Illinois Labor Council. We really appreciate the support throughout this entire process, Mr. Rick Hilliard.
I'm not the president of the Labor Council. I'm just the business manager for the operating engineers. With me today is leaders from IBEW, electrical workers, the sheet metal workers, the laborers, the iron workers, the plumber and pipe fitters. We're all here. You know what? You guys are our brothers and sisters. There's a reason we're called organized labor. And just so the governor will know, we can get more organized. There's no harder working individuals when it comes to election time than organized laborers. We walk the streets, we beat on doors, we man phone calls. And you know what? When we elected him, he yelled jobs, jobs, jobs. And I don't think he meant cut, cut, cut our jobs. You're messing with our pocketbooks down here. That's all we have. Southern Illinois we can't afford to lose any more jobs. Is that correct? Right. Pass the bill, Governor. Pass the bill. I tell you what, I want to introduce Kevin Starr. He's a labor business manager, but he comes from the same mind of thought I do. From a quote from one of the founding fathers of the labor movement, he advised us that we reward our friends and we punish our enemies, Samuel Gompers. Now, Governor, if you close the facilities and you keep jacking with our pensions and our benefits, you're looking an awful lot like one of our enemies.
Hello, my name's Kevin Starr. I'm the business manager for Labor's Local 773. I want to emulate what Rick said. We are all brothers and sisters. Every union member is together, especially on this issue when it comes to jobs. I was with Governor Quinn at several of the stops that he made in the general election. I heard him say over and over how he was going to help Southern Illinois. I was at Carterville. I was at Marion with the Star Bonds. I was in Cairo with the Port District. All of those things he done before he was elected. And now he has turned the page since he's become the governor. He has not been a friend to Southern Illinois. I do believe, as some of the people that have spoke today, that this is his action for maybe not carrying all of our counties down here. If it wasn't for you, the union movement in Southern Illinois, he wouldn't be governor now. He won by such a slight margin. If we would have stayed out of the election, he'd have lost a lot bigger down here, and he'd have never carried the state as a whole. Governor, we're not asking you, we're telling you. Keep your word. Southern Illinois matters.
Again, we want to thank everybody for coming out. All these guys up here, they'll be here for questions, and they can try to answer anything that you have. We really appreciate all the brothers and sisters coming out and standing with us. We're not through. We're going to keep fighting. Let's everybody, we just got to keep our head down and push a little harder and get our message through. Thanks for coming out.